Are you happy now? I think many of us here have had that question asked to us as we reflect on the third Sunday of Advent. Gaudete Sunday, as it's referred to, simply it means rejoice. Friends, we are halfway through the Advent journey. It's been long and enduring, but I can promise you the best is yet to come. Friends, in the Gospel of Matthew, from the 11th chapter, St. John the Baptist is in prison. He ponders the question in his head. Is this Messiah that has been proclaimed, that has been prophesied for generations, finally come? As it turns out, Jesus was the answer to what the prophets were saying. We go from the first week in which we were reminded to make straight the paths, repent and believe. Hard to believe, isn't it? We have made it this far. Last week in the second Sunday of Advent, if you may recall, we too were reminded of, once again, to repent, because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So I say again, repent. We've made it this far, friends. Now, granted, some of you had a really, maybe some of you didn't have the best one. Consider this your halftime speech in the locker room. And it happens during a football, basketball, hockey, baseball. They do a dugout thing, but we're not going to get to that, okay? But here it is. You made it this far. There's roughly 2 weeks until Christmas, and give or take. What is stopping you? What is keeping you from being happy? What is keeping you from sharing God's joy? In this culture today, and of course we have been seeing it all around, that we have people that suck our happiness, that suck the happiness out of us. With their narcissist behavior, being Debbie Downers, whatever the case is. But I think if there's one thing we need to focus on, we need to focus on getting to heaven. It's not an easy thing to do. That's not for the faint of heart. But I think if there's one thing we must do, is that we must focus our gaze on Jesus. And we may be tempted to go to a bookstore and go to this self-help section, just figuring out, how do I help myself get happy? Well, let's face this. Happiness does come from inside. When you are happy, you let it out. Over the years, we've struggled throughout life. And of course, especially as we are getting closer to Christmas season, there's going to be breakups. There's going to be news of a shooting that happened. A woman decides to choose abortion for her to be comfortable, or to try to get by in life without making the sacrifice of bringing that child into the world. But if there's one thing we must do, is that we must focus. We must rejoice, because our end game is to get to heaven. Our end game, my friends, is to choose joy. Choose happiness. The culture is not going to satisfy your hungry heart. Jesus will. Friends, take this time to rejoice. You're halfway through the journey. Now, here's the question. What makes you happy? For me, being a Catholic with my eyes set on getting to heaven, that's what makes me happy. Everything that's around you is temporary. While St. John the Baptist was sitting in that prison, he had that question that he pondered. Is the Messiah before us? And that question was answered in the form of his cousin. And Jesus did not preach just by his words, but he preached by his actions. Lepers were healed, the deaf heard, the poor received good news. The sick were healed, the dead have risen. Rejoice, friends. The Lord is near, especially in this dark culture we are living in. The Lord is near. Let us continue to make the path straight. Let us continue to repent and believe. Because our goal is to welcome Jesus here. Are you ready to choose joy? God bless.